Hello folks and welcome to episode 186 of the Noclip Crewcast. We have a full suite of dudes here. It's a real hog factory, but different flavors of hog brought to you from around the world, around North America. I'm stretching it a bit. I'm no longer somewhere in Eastern Europe. I was trying to keep that on the QT a bit last week, and then last week's podcast I was like, shit,
whoops,
blowing up my spot. But if you want to know what's going on, what I was up to over there, if you haven't already surmised, then go over to patreon.com/noclip, and this month's patron show is going to have some interesting details about that. But we're not here to talk about documentaries that will come out months from now, as they all take forever. We're here to talk about the games we've been playing at the moment. Jesse Gracia, thank you for holding down the fort for the past couple of weeks, and once again, congratulations on your nuptials. How have the honeymoon phase going at the moment?
We're not quite there yet. We have a little celebration we're having in September where everyone will come and say congratulations and good job, and here's a card.
But
presents, so far,
get
exactly.
Your presents.
Yeah, we have a registry. We don't. We should have one for Crate and Barrel. I was gonna say Cracker Barrel. Just give us nothing. No, yeah, it's been nice, man. We cheat, yeah, why not? No, we've been doing a lot of house stuff, so a lot of like maintenance, a lot of fixing things. Do you know that gutters cost a lot of money, not just for the gutters, but to install them? Fuck.
Are you not renting? Don't put gutters on someone else's house.
No, I would never do that. Landlords can suck on something bad. Railroad spike, that's the one. We own the house. It's like her grandma's house, and she got it because her grandma doesn't pass or anything, but she's just in long-term care, so we're just maintaining it for the time.
She don't need it no more. She don't need to be fixing those gutters.
Exactly.
She fixed those gutters before.
That's what I'm for. So it's things cost money and a lot of it. So, but other than that, it's been great.
Hey, I know how you can solve this problem. You get that registry. You put fucking gutters on it.
That's a good idea.
Buy me some gutters. That's a classic, Don't buy me Cracker Barrel cheese. Get me some gutters. Frank Howley, if you had a wedding registry, what would you put on it?
Manga, anime. That's kind of it. There's Stellar Blade. I still want to track down Stellar Blade.
Have you not played Stellar Blade yet? You're still trying to free it?
No, because it's $70. I have a friend in Tokyo though. He says you can get it for like $25 at a book off there. So I might get an international version of it.
That's a cheaper way of doing it. Yeah, fly to fucking Japan and save $20.
When Frank said free Stellar Blade, he meant give it to him for free.
For free. Yeah. Or put it on PlayStation Plus.
Hey, yeah, it's a good point. It'll happen eventually, I guess. Jeremy Jane, what's the worst wedding gift you've ever given?
The worst wedding? I've only been to like 3 weddings. I told I was at my brother's wedding. I gave like a best man speech, and this is not a gift, but it's definitely the worst thing I've brought to a wedding.
Oh no!
I told an anecdote in my best man speech about how the only other time I had seen my brother cry, other than at his wedding, was when we watched the movie Gladiator. And he cried at the end.
What a pick!
Not yet.
Exactly.
Wow. And people didn't like. Did people laugh? That's a good one.
Oh no, it got such a good pop.
That's great.
But,
that's great.
Yeah. But he was the butt of the joke for sure.
That's your role. That's the role of a best man speech. That's why I did not do one on my wedding. I was like, I'm trying
to get roasted.
Love my brother, but I am not setting myself up for that one. We're just gonna have a chill, cool party. That's what we're gonna do. No ceremony. We're all here to talk about our first marriage, video games. And of course, we're so happy to be here surrounded by this congregation of friends and family. Our Battle Pass holders, Eamon Slattery, Harry Flanagan, Battle Royale Games, Arno, Richard Matherson, James Brown, Mark Rojas, Ryan Cobb, Tucker Morgan, Crimson Cyclist, Sven Huster, Pez, Ewint Nate, Tim Robinson, Forrest Pruitt, Jonathan Kremen, Eric Hamilton Schneider, Hammerlad, Zachary Snader, Alex Sharp, Alex Goucher, George Sikotis, Jacob Godserve, Tohir Tiliev, and of course Ryson. Thank you all so much for supporting what has been a very expensive and busy month, at least. Kind of on all of our parts. Definitely expensive on my part, just because some last minute ass flights to Eastern Europe. Although slightly cheaper because I was on the East Coast, maybe. I don't know. I also flew back that day that Microsoft destroyed everything. So that was fun. I just made my connections and everything.
Oh,
I guess.
right. Yeah, did that mess you up? Did you get delayed or anything?
Scandinavian Airlines, man. I guess they're fucking all Red
all
Hat
on
Linux nuts or whatever.
They're still on pen and paper. They're just writing it down.
Yeah, Ryanair was fucked. I was, because I had to transfer as well in Copenhagen, so I was around some people having not a good time, but all my stuff thankfully was pretty chill. For the, it was already like a 15-hour flight day. I didn't need that sort of on top of it, and I've done a lot of them recently. This is the second transatlantic flight I've done in about 5 weeks. And we're doing a round the world trip in September. So, I'm glad to be sort of on terra firma for the past 5 weeks. But loads of awesome stuff's been getting done by the rest of the crew. Go check out that Patreon show if you want to hear not just what I was doing in Eastern Europe, but also what Jeremy's been working on, the rest of the lads been working on since we last spoke. But let's talk about some video games. It's the summertime. There's not that much stuff out. You guys have been doing a great job about talking about all the interesting bits and bobs you're playing, both new and old. I was playing a lot of video games that I can't talk about either because they're for upcoming documentaries or they're embargoed games coming out in the next few weeks. But I did play a couple of little ones. Let me just start first of all with this one. Have you guys heard of Cataclismo?
Yes.
Yeah.
This is the new game from the
not the Mel
Moonlighter
Gibson movie.
developers.
Exactly. Well spotted. Digital Sun. Who did Moonlighter, which I did not play. That was the one where you were, running a shop in an RPG kind of thing. You're like the shopkeeper in a Zelda or something.
Yeah, that sounds.
Yeah,
right.
it's kind of like a pseudo roguelike. There's like a town where you run a shop, and then there are various levels of difficulty of dungeon, and you kind of go do roguelike runs into the dungeons and come back with a bunch of stuff and sell it. It's a fun game.
Excellent. That's sort of like two different, the David the Divers thing of like two different games in one kind of thing, right?
Yeah,
like
yeah,
you're
exactly.
running a
Yeah,
shop.
Moonlighter came up as an inspiration for that reason in a doc recently, and I'm struggling to remember who we were talking to that cited it. As
Yeah,
an
it came up.
influence.
It did. It came up more recently than when it came out, which I think was like 2018 or something. It was.
Yeah.
Was it in? It might have been in Dredge.
It was in
I think
Dredge.
it was. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why it's not. The doc isn't out yet. I was like going through the channel mentally and not finding it.
Yeah. So that Dredge doc will, it'll be out pretty soon as well. We just need to do the stand-ups, basically. I have my fisherman's costume. We just need to go film the thing. So Cataclismo is one of these games that it's quite a genre merge, and it's a little bit tricky to explain it. So I'll do my best, but please feel free to sort of ply me with questions on this. I will also say that looking at screenshots of this game may not even help in trying to figure out exactly what it is. So I've only played a few hours of it. I really like it. I think it's a very smart game. On the face of it, what it basically is a real-time tower defense game where you are in control of building fortifications and also sort of telling units where to go. That said, there is a story there's a skirmish mode you can play if you want. This is early access as well, I should mention. But the campaign of this game is a story with characters where you have a sort of a suite of smaller hero characters, and then you have a sort of a bigger hero, all the townspeople, archers and stuff. You can tell them where to go. In those levels, there are sort of also these discrete, I guess, like each level has its own, like there's the main city levels that take place. There are levels that take place in other areas of the map that you're going to and trying to go out, and basically your antagonist in this world is basically just a bunch of monsters that some cataclysm happened a while ago, and they're all encroaching on your stuff, and that's why the tower defense aspect is. But then there are also little story ones where you're sort of going linearly through an area, although that's mostly probably a tutorial thing for the start of the game. So what you're mostly doing is control building fortifications out of like rock or wood, but there's all these very smart sort of considerations to take into account. Like the higher you obviously there's like, hey, stone walls are more structurally sound than wood stuff. It's pretty obvious. But like also the higher you build a wall, the more sort of fortified the base of that wall is. You also have major consideration, which is the height of your units corresponds to like how much damage they do. So like archers, you want to stick up really high. Lads who like throw these little grenade things, you want to have them a little bit lower. Certain fortifications also have sort of their own boosts to like the archers. Like you can put up these little flags which give a sort of an area of effect buff to everyone around them, or you can put up certain fortifications, and if you're there then it gives the archers a bit more range. So you're basically before, not like, there's tower defense games. There's games like they are Billions, which I've not really played, which I guess is probably closer to what this is than like your tower defense game on your app or like a phone game or whatever. But you're doing a lot of like spending time with the resources you have available, trying to build up an appropriate wall or fortification, and then from there seeing how it plays out. But they keep layering stuff on. So I'm like a couple of hours in, and like you're at this stage, it's like you're doing resource gathering as well as telling the units where to go, as well as building the fortification. So sometimes it almost feels like you're quite close to the units, and you're only handling, a couple dozen units. It's not like you've got a big army, right? And you're like sort of total war style grabbing loads of people. It's way more small and intimate than that. But at the moment, there's like it almost feels like an Age of Empires at times, because you're sort of resource gathering and then also building, and then walls are falling down. You're trying to fix those. You're trying not to waste too much rock, so you're making your wood stairs out of wood, because you also need like to have stairs for the people to get up the walls. So it's a lot of different things together, and the art style is cool, and it's just I've been really engaged by it. It reminds me of games like Giant Citizen Kabuto or Sacrifice, where it's like, oh, you're doing some new things here with these genres, and I'm playing catch up, and that's fun for me.
Yeah, I'm interested if you're like, how much does it feel like you're playing an RTS when you're playing this? Are you doing a lot of micro of controlling your units, or is it kind of set it and forget it? Or to me, this looks like it strikes an interesting balance between something like Colony Sims and Stronghold and RTSs. That's not quite any of them.
Yeah, exactly. It's definitely not Total War, so that it's also not games like my wife plays a lot of city builders and colony sims and stuff like that, like games like Banished and things like that. It's more intimate than that. It's more focused on defense, I guess. Is probably the thing. All the resource gathering you're doing is basically to work for the defense stuff, right? You're harvesting wood so you can build wood stuff. You're harvesting rock so you can build rock stuff. So it is very much focused on the front, on the wall. That's kind of what you're focused on. And sometimes there's stuff behind it, which is like stuff you're managing, but like your eyes are on that. So because of that, the world is small. It's not like a big open landscape. You're not really worried about, distant enemies. It's very much like, who is at the wall now? Who do I have? Is one of my characters like, could I optimize where these archers are better? Could I be creating an angle for them by building a piece of the fortification out a bit, or maybe they're not in the right spots. They could be using the buffs better, stuff like that. So it's somewhere between like your big complex city, like a siege game, and like a way more tappy phone thing. It's like somewhere in the middle of the two of those. It's kind of hard to explain. It feels so new, and I've not played a lot of like, what would you call them? I don't know, like AAA tower defense games or whatever.
Is that a thing?
I don't know. Like, I've not played enough of There Are Billions, so maybe this game is doing some of that. I'm not sure, but it's it's very interesting, and then also the art style is very. I don't even know how to explain it. It uses quite a dark color palette, I'll say. Lots of dark and desaturated yellows and blues, and grays for the stone. But it feels almost, I don't know, it's something about the contrast or the shading or something, but it has a very nice style to it.
Yeah.
I quite like a lot. Yeah, and also it helps with the readability big time. I think the art does a lot to make some, because you're looking at a lot of there's a lot of rock there, and I always know where there's like a crack or where I should have that fortified more or something like that.
Very cool.
The angle of this also reminds me of whenever I play a game that's like top down looking down at a castle. Do you guys know what Playmobil is? It's
Yeah,
kinda like Lego.
Yeah.
I had a Playmobil castle as a kid, and every time I play a game like this, I feel like I'm just trying to recapture the feeling I had as a kid of like simulating sieges where I would get all the Playmobil knights inside the castle, and then just like every fucking stuffed animal in the house would be besieging the castle. And I often feel like video games are just trying to recapture that sense of imagination and play you have as a kid, where you can just, go outside and go on the swing and you're like, I'm fucking Indiana Jones, man. This is awesome. Like, you didn't need the video game part of it. And I feel like a lot of times video games are just trying to recapture that feeling for me. So I want to play this, and like, this is like giving me Playmobil at 5 years old castle vibes.
You are able to, you have free control over the camera as well, just so you know, because so many screenshots especially make it look like it's isometric or something, but you can straight up like zoom right into your character's face and bring the camera down to down to the ground and stuff. But yeah, the other thing is that like the sort of real time, you can speed up time a little bit, and you can pause time when you're making decisions.
Okay. That was a question I had, because the way you're describing the building is like, it's a lot of, it looks like it's literally you're building the buildings. This isn't like you have a prefab tower and you just click tower and wait for it to appear. You have to like place the pieces down to build the tower. So when I was thinking it's real time and maybe the enemies destroy a tower and you got to like you're like, to use Jeremy's comparison, it's like you're putting the Playmobil pieces back together. You're like, no, don't attack yet. I'm rebuilding the tower. Give me a second.
As your brother smashes
yeah,
them.
like,
in
no,
front of
come
you.
on, Justice, leave me alone. It's my brother's name. There's a little lore for you. Yeah, it's I see this and I'm like, I was immediately thinking like, oh shit, it's gonna be like that. But no, so you can pause the game and make adjustments while it's paused, or?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up actually, because that would have been an oversight for me not to mention had you not said that. You can make blueprints of stuff you have built.
Oh, cool.
But you're 100% right. You are not like putting a tower down and putting a wall down. You are putting down a piece of the wall and you are building the tower the way you want to make it. And you have to account for the height, but you have to account for the materials you're using. You have to account for the access that the people have.
Oh, snap.
The enemies you're fighting and how they, what height they can attack at, all that sort of stuff. So there's a phase at the start of the levels where you kind of have enough time until sunset comes, basically, when all the motherfuckers pile out of the forest. And so you've got your build phase there, but you can also, basically, I think you can pause all the time in that as well. I think I don't. It doesn't feel like there was much of a countdown going on. I was always rushing to get to. I always had time left over. But then during the battles as well, like if you fucked up, which I did a lot, a piece of the wall will fall down and like sort of realistically take out a lot of the battlements above it. If you want to rebuild that, you got to go in and rebuild it in the moment. You got to hit that. There's no. Some stuff, like the resource gathering stuff, has like a build time and build order to it, but all of the actual building of the battlements and stuff, you just go to your menu, click a piece of rock, click, and it's there. There's no like sending a person over to build it or anything like that.
That's really cool.
Oops. Blah, 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 blah.
So you were saying that you can make blueprints from the structures that you build?
Yeah.
That's
helpful,
awesome.
I think. Well, one of the problems I think you get with this subgenre, and it's also a problem that I've talked about with like Age of Empires in the past, is that you spend all your time building this beautiful thing, and then once the level's over, it's gone.
Yeah.
So, there are areas in this map that you keep coming back to, so that's cool. So there's stuff that you built that I'm assuming there's stuff that you built in the main city that retains. I'm not quite sure, but I assume that's the case. But in the other levels, where you're going out and doing stuff, actually, now that I think, I've not played enough to know. I wonder if when you go back to those areas, is the thing you built still there? I wonder if that's the case. But in any case, if you build a tower, yeah, you can basically create like a quick blueprint of it and then deploy it again in other levels if you want to.
That's great.
I think
there's not enough of that.
Yeah, it's because I wonder if they're responding to that problem.
Yeah.
Because I imagine that's an issue in these games. You spend like 30 minutes building the level, right? And then it's like a 5 to 10 minute skirmish and then it's over. And you're like, there's a sort of I don't know what it is. There's like a frustration there, maybe.
Even outside of that, I feel
like
the creative angle of building the sort of style that you want with the tower defense stuff. Because, to make the most straightforward comparison I have, Bloons tower defense, you're not like doing anything with the monkeys you place down. They just are the monkeys, or in any other sort of strategy game like this where it's a tower defense sort of thing. You're just placing pre-built assets down. There's very little like room for creativity. Right. It's a lot of meta following, if anything, once you get to the sort of higher levels of those games. So it's cool that Cataclismo offers you the opportunity to express yourself both in the way that you choose to build the ramparts that you're fighting from, but also to create your own sort of meta as a player, to like have opportunities to be like, I want this height with these units. You're saying like you want the grenadier down here, but maybe other people have different strategies and they can carry that throughout the levels instead of having to just build whatever the most efficient thing is.
Yeah, because a lot of those units as well will the unit that you place down in a tower defense game will also have an attacking thing in it already. You know what I mean? Like it's just there. So there's already the separation of you build the thing, but then you have to actually, there's a person that's going to go up there and you have to make sure they get up there and also that it works for them. And then, it's basically sandboxy, like in a way that a lot of tower defense stuff I think is maybe not as sandboxy. Like this is pure, this feels like, Fortnite in a way. It's
what I mean?
Like it's that level of like, because it's kind of at that scale, even the camera is sometimes because you're down with your units quite a lot.
Can your units emote? They start hitting
so it feels way more like that than it does like a tower. Like when I think of tower defense, I think of quite high up, and this feels way more intimate and down there.
Yeah, the granularity of the building system, I think, speaks to that too. And I think, to Jesse's point, like the blueprinting system is clever because I think in the first like couple hours you're playing a game like this, you're like, oh, it's so cool. I can place every brick and like really design it. And then 3 hours in, you're like, okay, I know what I want to build and I don't want to have to place every brick of it. So it's kind of best of both worlds to be able to have that granularity of expression and then bypass it later.
Yeah, especially because everything gets bigger. Like a lot of the time, the battles are getting larger. Also, the number of, just as a byproduct of you doing all the resource gathering and unlocking new stuff, the complexity on offer for each of the towers and each of the walls increases as well. So I can see that being a big thing. You're sort of spending a lot of time. It's like that early Age of Empires stuff, like as well. Like your placement of your farms and all that stuff is really important, but it can be a bit laborious once you've done it level after level after level. It came up in the Battle Aces documentary we did on Secret Tape, right? That was basically the reason they were making that version of RTS, because they were like, do we need to go through the same, rigmarole of building this, all the RTS early 4 game minute stuff? 4 minute early game stuff. So I can see it helping a lot. But also the other thing to mention is that like the levels are nuanced and different. Like they have their own things going on. They have level specific sort of enemies and issues. You're unlocking lots of abilities. So at least at the start of the game, it's fairly dense and it's fairly tutorial heavy for the first couple of hours in a way that it probably needs to be. But then also there's the skirmish mode if you want to fuck around. I'm not sure if there's multiplayer, actually. I don't think there is. No, Steam says there isn't. So that is that's Cataclismo, not the Mel Gibson movie. Although who knows? Maybe some anti-Semites made this game.
Oh no,
we can't say that is not the case.
Let's yank that back. Let's yank that statement back.
Yeah, Jesse can decide whether or not that gets edited out or not, which makes it his fault. If
that's not how that works. Falls in your court.
Cataclismo from the folks at Digital Sun, who I'm sure are lovely, is available in early access on Steam for $29.99, 20% off at the moment as well, because I think it only just got released 22nd of July. Yeah, just Monday of this week. Cataclismo.
It's fun to say.
But you can't have a castle without having a dungeon, and I hear that the dungeons in Hinterberg are lovely this time of year, Jesse.
Yeah, they're picturesque and full of evil monsters that just want to sell you timeshares. That's probably the worst thing.
Whoa.
Well, I don't want to do that.
Okay.
What's going on? No, Dungeons in Hinterberg is pretty good. Have you guys seen anything about this game? Heard anything about this game? Or
Never heard, because we live in 2024. I have never heard or seen this game, and now I'm looking at screenshots of it, and I want to play it because that's how games work now.
Yeah, same.
nice, good. That's funny that you guys haven't seen it, but I guess it makes sense. I feel like I have this problem where I follow a lot of indie developers on Twitter, and they retweet a lot of stuff, and they're marketing. That's the whole point of being on Twitter. And so I see it like every other day, and I'm like, everyone must know this. It's on my timeline 24/7, but it turns out it's like, no, I'm one of the 300 people following their account or whatever. No, they probably have a lot of followers. But yeah, this is a new game from a new studio out of Vienna, Austria. Microbird, I believe, is the name of the studio. Yeah, Microbird. It's only on Xbox and Steam at the moment. It's on Game Pass as well if you're a Game Passer. But this is
Played it, Frank?
No, not yet, but it's on Game Pass, so it's on my radar.
He's slowing down.
Give him time. There's a lot of cool stuff that just dropped on there. So, and he's too busy playing cool Japanese games to get to cool Swiss Alps games.
Austrian games.
The Austrian games, yeah. This is like a third-person hack and slashy kind of game. There's been a lot of comparisons to Zelda, and I feel confident in making that comparison. It's puzzle solving in dungeons. You're crawling around in the dungeons, not literally on all fours, but you are, doing some dungeon crawling, doing some combat in there, solving puzzles. But that's only half of the game. The other half of the game, and this is what I think makes it so appealing, is that it's also a social sim vacation game. I think the easiest cross between two genres is it's like Zelda cross with Persona, which is such a weird, but I can't believe no one's ever done that before kind of thing, or at least I can't think of any examples of it off the top of my head that go to this level. But yeah, so you play as a woman who's on vacation because she's trying to escape tedium of her life. And she goes to this alpine village called Hinterberg, which recently had this explosion of magic and the dungeons appeared. And there's 25 of them or something, or maybe more than that. And people all across the world vacation here to experience the magic and to slay monsters. It's like a slaycation, I think, is how they refer to it as.
This is the most veiled Austrian person game I have ever seen in my life. This is amazing. Okay, please continue.
It's so silly. It's so much fun. But yeah, so a lot of the game is it's like I said, it's 50-50. It starts early on. You're learning how to do combat. It's like a hack and slash. You have a light and a heavy attack. There's no big dedication. You're not swinging giant axes and having a 3-second wind up or anything. It's not a Souls-like. There's light magic elements that you get as well pretty early on. You get a chain that throws a ball that you can pull back towards you. You get a little bomb you can place down. There's other magic you unlock, and magic is specific to the location that you're in. But that's the first half of it, is going and doing these dungeons. And the dungeons are really good. They look really nice. The game has this very cool comic book art style. I think it goes a little too hard on the outline stuff. Some of the textures are a little messy with the outlining that they do, but I think overall the whole look of it is nice. The colors are really good, and there's a good composition of elements in the environment because it looks like the Swiss Alps and it has a lot of these different environments. The first one you have is
open world.
No, so actually it's split up into 4 different areas. Each of them are semi-open world. I'd say more open area. You can explore around, and each of the areas has a certain amount of dungeons in them. The first one has 7. And when you reach each of them, there's a door that you go into, and then the dungeon is this instanced area. You go into it, and it's all handmade as far as I'm aware. There's no procedural generation or anything. And the puzzles they're solid. They're good puzzles. They feel like Zelda level puzzles. It's the kind of thing where they introduce a mechanic. Usually it's using one of the spells that you unlock in the area. Like I said, the first one's throwing the chain, or there's a bomb. So you use the bomb to explode the rocks. And then later on, now there's rocks that are too high up for you to explode. So how do you get there? And it's that sort of thing, right? Of building on the knowledge that they offer you over time. So they've really nailed, I think, that aspect of it. The puzzles feel really good. And each of the dungeons also has a very different style to it, not just visually, but also in the way it's presented. The second area has dungeons that have 2.5D gameplay element sections to them.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, where it's it's a third-person hack and slash game, and then all of a sudden you're doing I don't know, like Crash Bandicoot 2D sections. It's so strange, but it's really fun.
One of
It's
them
very
looked like it
novel.
was isometric, maybe.
Yeah, there's like an isometric rotating puzzle. Like you rotate chunks of the world to solve puzzles and stuff.
Wow.
There's a lot of novelty to the dungeons. Like it's way more varied than I thought it would be, which is really cool. But then the other half of the game is the social sim stuff. And as soon as you finish the tutorial area, there's a pop-up that says like day 1 morning. And the way that it pops up is very Persona-like. It's like, it's not quite, it doesn't have that kind of sauce, you know? I feel like Persona's sauce is kind of untouchable. But this, like, it gets to the point where you're like, I see what they're going for. I see the vision. It's right there. So the Alpine Village is full of these little locations. There's a spa you can go to. There's this woman who teaches you how to do special abilities. So it's like a magic sort of shop. She has like crystals and stuff, and you can learn how to do your big spin attack. And there's someone who serves ice cream. The funniest character so far that I've met is this photojournalist who's like a hipster, and it's kind of like poking fun at hipsters, but in that sort of Persona way, you're presented with a stereotype, and as you get to know them better, you unlock more of their character and everything, which is really cool. But so when you go to hang out with people, or when you choose to do a certain dungeon, you advance the day. So it goes to the next section. So you start in the morning, you'll usually pick what you're going to go do a dungeon, or if you're in those areas, you don't even have to do a dungeon. You can just rest at like a campsite and just hang out, and that will advance the time to the evening. And then you can choose who you want to spend your time with. Maybe you want to hang out with the photojournalist. Maybe you want to go to the spa. Maybe you want to do nothing. Maybe you want to sit in your room and read a book. There's options that you have for how you want to advance your day and how you want to spend your time on your slaycation, which is such a funny word to use for this kind of game. But no, I'm really enjoying it so far. I'm about 3-4 hours in, and I had a hard time putting it down because it's just so quick and moment to moment it feels really good. And like I said, there's like great flow to it all, because when you finish a dungeon very quickly, you're back in the city, you have a little conversation, and there's always events to look forward to as well that keep the pacing up. There's one, I haven't done it yet. I'm very excited to see what it is, but it's just called the Onion Festival, and no one's explaining anything. And I'm like, what does that mean? You can ask, what does that mean? It's like, don't worry about it. You'll find out. There's a queen. And it's like, what do you mean there's an onion queen? Can I be the onion queen?
There's a big magical Alphorn here as well, I can see in one of the shots. So that's pretty dope. One of the things that has stood out to me is the fact that this is not this is a contemporary world. This is not a fantasy world. Like, obviously it's fantasy because there's like magic nonsense happening, but like it just looks like a Austrian town. Like it has like a bank and a museum and a spa where you can
ice
go
cream
and,
store.
right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, do they contextualize it? Like you said, this is a world where magic has emerged into this place, and you're kind of going in. And is the framing for this that this was the normal world, and then something happened that made it so there's monsters now, or is this like a world where there were monsters kind of before the events of this? You know
No,
what I mean?
yeah, they contextualize it to say that this was a new thing. There's actually a character in the game that you meet. I think he's the tutorial character, whose job was to go in these dungeons and kill the monsters and do whatever he has to do with there. And he had like a TV show about it. Like that was his job, was to slay those monsters.
That's awesome.
And he's kind of like your
That's
hero.
great.
When you meet him, you're like, oh my God, like you kind of fangirl, but you have to settle it down. So that was really funny. And I think the funniest thing that they do with it, because like there's not a ton that they do to mix the two elements. Like I said, there's a magic store with a chick who sells magic stuff. That also exists in our current world. So is that too different?
That's true. I was in Salem a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, brother. Yeah, you really saw it. But the funniest thing is that when you go to meet the lady who runs the hotel that you're staying in, you're like, I can't get any cell reception. I can't call anyone. She's like, oh, yeah, that's the magic. It ruins cell reception. It's like, oh, okay. Because you're on your vacation. You don't want to be on your phone answering emails and getting calls from your mom. You want to be having a good time.
It's like that horror movie conceit. You gotta get the cell phone out of the
all the cell
equation as
towers are
quickly as
down in
possible.
this huge populated area. Weird.
Dungeons of Hinterberg. Yeah, this looks. I hate the fact that games can be this interesting and good looking and genre bending again, and me have never heard about them. So thank you, Jesse, for enlightening us. And also, I guess that's kind of the vibe of the podcast. Lots of weeks is here's some weird shit you never heard about. This looks crazy. Any final thoughts on it? Any final questions, lads? I think you did a great job summing it up. It looks, I hear what you're saying about the art style. It like, I like the cell shaded look, but it's almost, I've never seen one that has that thickness. It's a bit,
going too
in
far.
motion. You think it feels a bit too far?
A little bit. It's the texture.
Here's my question. Is this a Steam Deck game? Because this looks like a Steam Deck killer for me.
I'm playing it on Xbox at the moment. I'm
Okay.
streaming it also through Xbox Game Cloud. Shout outs to my boy
Nice.
Phil. Microsoft is, not in a great spot. I am not a
Your boy
supporter.
Phil keeps closing studios.
Yeah, you should talk to him.
Talk to Phil.
We need to have a conversation. Yeah. He needs to get
Yeah.
out of Hinterberg
check
so I
your
can give him a
man.
call. Check my man. Don't ever quote this shit. I don't fuck with that. Phil Spencer,
I
be
like
better.
Phil.
I like Phil.
Fucking green pilled over there. We love you for it, Frank. But
He's got the socks.
Your biases are well known. Exactly. He's a.
I have that. I'm literally sitting on an Xbox.
Holy shit!
Dude,
what
the
a
fix is
reveal!
in.
How long have you
Wow.
had that?
Frank, how much are they paying you?
Yeah, honestly.
What a reveal.
That's so funny.
no
Have you
idea.
had that the whole time we've been doing this? Oh my god, the Xbox
Dude,
logo's
the
behind
product
the
placement.
pillow.
How have I never noticed that?
Dude, he's been doing this like cerebral marketing this
Wow.
whole time.
Oh, it's got the pillow.
Oh, he's got a Kaiser Soze over there. Who knew?
Yeah, overall thoughts, great game. I think more people should play it because it's really cool. And I don't know, if you like the idea of going on a slaycation, this is the only game I'm aware of that offers the opportunity to do that. So it's a lot of
All
fun.
right. A new genre, Slaycation genre. Dungeons of Hinterberg, available for the exact same price as Cataclismo, $29.99, with 10% off at the moment. Introductory offer ending August 1st, so you got about a week until they'll pop the price up that 10%. You can pick it up on Steam, or you can pick it up on Xbox, and for free if you are paying for Game Pass, which is not free. All right. Jeremy, you have 2 words written down here,
Yeah.
which I don't think I've ever seen together before. Please explain to me what Penguin Gohan is.
I'm so glad you asked. So I had something totally different I was going to talk about this week, and then I encountered this last night, and I had to share it with the world.
Okay.
So let me plant the seed here. This will be video games related eventually. At some point I will whip the curtain off of the pedestal, and you will see the connection.
Okay.
But allow me a little bit of leeway here as I lead up to it. So there is a movement in Japanese comics and manga from the 1970s called Heita Uma. Heita Uma is it translates to bad but good. These are like crudely drawn comics with often crude themes, but aesthetically like intentional. They're not bad because these people are bad artists. They're crude because it's funny and fun and subversive. It's like, manga is so rigidly stylized and so often like perfect and detailed and stuff. This is kind of like a countercultural response to that by being like, what if we
Okay.
just drew shitty comics? Wouldn't that be funny? So
That's not funny.
I was aware of Heita Uma, and but I've only kind of like looked into a little bit of it. But I was explaining it to someone last night, and we were kind of like looking through examples of it because I was struggling to send like a specific example. One of the examples I have to share, just to give you the flavor of Heita Uma, is Takashi Nemoto is one of the sort of like 3 big names in Heita Uma. And just to give you the flavor of Heita Uma, let me read you a sentence from his bio here. One of his first manga stories from the 3rd grade showed the Emperor Hirohito being beaten in public baths and eventually forced to pee in his pants.
Dude, that's pretty based.
He's
Yes.
countercultural.
Yes.
He's out there.
So Heita Uma is not only like crude in themes and aesthetics, but it's also, I feel like it's trying to capture, it's like when you're like a 30-something-year-old man and you and your friends are having a drink and you're like telling like a joke about having a little penis or something, like it's still
It's an oddly
still funny.
specific
Yeah.
age range moment for you to
I
share,
mean-
Jeremy.
Listen, let's not analyze it too deeply.
Okay, sorry.
I feel like Heita Uma is capturing this like this childlike joy and this kind of like the joy of playing in the world of being immature. Sometimes on this
yeah.
podcast we dabble in that realm a little bit. So anyway,
South Park.
yes,
Sure.
exactly. So I was trying to look up examples and I came across one of them let me send a picture in staff chat of Penguin Gohan, who I came across last night.
I really don't want this to be a penguin that looks like Gohan. I want this to be something.
It's
completely
not.
different.
So Gohan is a Japanese word that means either
Oh my god.
rice or meal. So like Bon
Perfect.
Gohan. Bon
my
is
gosh.
evening. Bon Gohan is evening meal.
So who wants to explain what this looks like?
Yeah,
looks-
someone
fuck.
do me a favor.
This is Grimace with a beak, eating a beak,
Yeah.
wearing a red shirt with the alphabet on it. eating a bowl of rice that looks like it has a baseball player on it, but it's drawn in like the style of, I don't know what the comparison point is, but like a Japanese advertisement from the 90s.
It's not a child's drawing,
Yeah.
but it's close to it.
Yeah.
It's somewhere, it's an adult being a child or something like that. The combination of colors is quite sickly.
Yeah, it does have kind of a like a candy coated color scheme to it. So I came across Penguin Gohan last night, and I sent this image to Chelsea, and she was like, "What the fuck is Penguin Gohan?" I was like, I don't know. Let's look up more
Appropriate
images
response.
of Penguin Gohan. So I sent her an image of Penguin Gohan with sunglasses on, and I was like, "Look how cool he looks in this." And her response was, "Is his dick out?" And I had not noticed that at the bottom, the very bottom of the image, you know how like a Hawaiian shirt will pleat at the bottom, this? His penis was sticking out through the pleats in the shirt.
Can you send me that picture?
I have another one where his penis is out. I don't have that. Actually,
Wow.
I can dig that one up.
He's a habitual offender.
While I'm pulling this, let me explain that I think I might have deleted that one. I can't find it. I'll dig it up later.
This is great. This is really going to take the heat off Frank for talking about anime girls. You're just talking about
just trying to take a bullet from a boy here.
Penguin Gohan penises over here.
So let me send you a little spread. So Penguin Gohan has never been translated, so I could not read Penguin Gohan.
Oh, wow.
There are multiple episodes.
Patreon.com/Noclip. We got
Exactly.
we got to
can do
this
it.
shit.
We will
hire a translator. That's a great idea.
This is definitely a good use of everyone's money.
Or we could do a Google Translate where I just read it with Google Translate. The jank might enhance.
Yeah, I'm sure AI could really nail this one.
So I'm sending you guys. I don't think we can show this on the podcast, but here's a little spread from Penguin Gohan. I will describe this for the listeners. Penguin Gohan is at the beach. He has what appears to be a human man's penis. And he is going around and he's smashing people's heads in very graphically with what looks to be a small boulder.
Yeah.
And then waddling away into the sunset, and he's flying around with his dick out and just like killing people.
That's so inaccurate.
You
Penguins
didn't take
can't
this
do
picture,
that.
right?
I did not take this picture.
Okay.
I did, however, find a very good hidden gem of a YouTube channel that does a full flip through of every page, and it turns out now we're getting to the video game connection here. I'm tying it all together.
Okay, here we go.
So this Italian YouTuber, it does. I'll plug their channel because it seems really good. Not all of their videos have English subtitles, but it's Geki Gemu.
So to understand this Japanese comic, you had to watch an Italian YouTuber. So you're like 3 degrees removed from this one.
I was going down the rabbit hole last night.
It raises questions that I understand your desire to know more.
I had to understand Penguin Gohan. And now you may be asking, Geki Gemu, this Italian YouTuber who did a video about this Japanese penis penguin comic, why is the video games YouTuber doing this video? The person who wrote Penguin Gohan is Shigesato Itoi, the creator.
No, Itoi wrote this?
Oh my God.
It was illustrated by someone else, but it was written by Shigesato Itoi.
Wow.
And so the reason I wanted to bring this up is it made me it ignited a spark in my brain about something that we've been talking about on the podcast for the last couple of weeks, which is games like Earthbound and like the Mother series and Moon and kind of like these quirky, subversive games that are like intentionally being a little fucking weird and irreverent and offbeat. And I realized that Heida Uma is sort of like the pre-video games version of that. And the fact that Shigesato Itoi was writing Heida Uma comics before he did the Mother series and stuff was like, I didn't realize that, the predecessor to this genre of games that I love so much is this irreverent 1970s manga movement called Heida Uma.
Oh my God. So is Penguin Gohan like have other people adapted it? Because I'm here on Google Images flicking through stuff, and it seems like some people have kind of done their own versions maybe.
There are definitely different styles of it. One of them looks a little more you're talking about the one that's the black and white penguin with the bow tie on the ice float?
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm talking about the one
We're sucking his own dick.
Yes.
Yeah, I knew it.
I'll put this in the chat. I'll be the one who does it. I'll put it in the chat.
Oh, brother.
Oh my God.
He is packing. You gotta respect that.
I don't know. I don't know. I think maybe other people have potentially taken a swing at the Penguin Gohan verse.
Swing and a hit there.
Yeah.
Look at that.
So yeah. So anyway, that is sort of the wormhole I was going down last night. But I was delighted to find that that sort of rough around the edges, but weirdly sincere and affecting video games movement has a predecessor in Hida. So it blew my mind.
That's amazing. If we did like an Earthbound documentary, you'd have to pull up all this that we probably wouldn't have even asked. It probably wouldn't even come up, or he probably wouldn't have even said maybe.
Totally.
Because this also might be the sort of artist's equivalent of somebody finding your
DeviantArt full of
and all the
furry porn and
yeah.
I got my start.
Like a bunch of like it's fascinating. Frank, I think you've got a mission for when you're in Japan in a couple of months' time. If you can find any of these guys.
If you could find Penguin Gohan, I will please buy it and I will pay you back. If it's less than $100, get me a copy of Penguin Gohan.
There's a store in Akihabara that might like actually have this stuff, because it's where I found a bunch of like janky, probably Heta style like Sailor Moon hentai for like $2 each. But it was like in the store called Beep, which is it's all like PC-98 Dreamcast, like old video game stuff, but they have rows of books. A lot of it is like PC software manuals, some is hentai,
wild.
but there's a lot, but like there has to be a section of these weird like adult of comics, and like I don't know, but that would be the first place I would look. But there's also like so many bookstores and stuff. But yeah, now my eyes are open to another subgenre that I have to look into.
Hell yeah. Also, there's I don't know if Neko Jiru is considered Heda Uma. Neko Jiru is a really good manga as well, about it's two little cats who kind of just like I'll give you an example of a Neko Jiru episode. They go hunting with their father, who's also a cat, and they see an animal by the river who's like they talk to him like a friend. And then the dad comes and shoots him in the head. And he's like, that's what we were hunting for. And
my God.
And then he like walks home carrying the carcass of this like person that they made friends with throughout the issue. So it's like, I don't know. It translates to cat soup. I don't know if cat soup is considered Hida, but that's the kind of sense of humor. It's like, it reminds me of kind of like Edmund Macmillan's early games or something.
Right,
like Dead Baby Dress Up is kind of what we're looking at here tonally.
Man, there you go. Check out some Penguin Gohan. Just go to Google Images. Sort yourself out.
Yeah, maybe not. No, don't do it in like the public library or anything.
No, safe search off. Let's go. We're gonna go fully into it. I want to talk about another game I played this week that came out in April. I'm not sure. Maybe you guys have played it or talked about it. Have any of you guys played Buckshot Roulette?
No, I'm aware of it, but I actually haven't played it. I watched someone play it before.
Okay, yeah. I was talking to? I think it was Tamora recommended it to me. We were talking about click holding, and I haven't played too much of it, but it also wasn't really connecting with me, and I was kind of like chatting to him about that and thinking, and then he recommended, have you played Buckshot Roulette? Because it's not similar really mechanically at all, but it's a similar sort of like you are staring at the antagonist kind of situation. So I am struggling to remember the name of the game that this is.
Is it Inscription?
Inscription?
Thank you. I was right in the tip of my tongue for the past like 10 minutes. I was trying to remember. So yes, this reminds me of the opening of Inscription. Inscription, the game where you were standing across from somebody and doing like card game style stuff with somebody who's across from you and speaking with a weird voice. Basically, Buckshot Roulette is a shotgun Russian roulette game with a bunch of very cool mechanics involved in it. You enter a room. There is a weird masked person on the other side. There is a shotgun between you. They show you how many rounds are live rounds and how many rounds are blanks, which I find quite funny, because if you shot a shotgun blank at yourself in the face, you would be very injured.
Very dead.
But in this, it just goes click, which feels fun. So there is a probability thing where it's like sometimes it'll be 2 live rounds and 1 blank, or sometimes it'll be 6 blanks and 2 live rounds. And you have to pass it back and forth. You can, if you shoot if you shoot, you get another go, obviously. So if you think there's a blank, you shoot it, and then you think maybe there's another blank, and you shoot it again. Then you can pass it over, or not pass it over. You can decide to either point it at yourself or point it at the other person because you're trying to damage them. The reason why you are is because both of you have a certain level of health points, and if you, you're shotgunning them in the face, but they're getting like resurrected with paddles. Basically, both of you are if you die. That when they shoot you, it's, I think, one of the most effective things ever, because it's exactly what you'd see if you died. You like see the flash, hear the bang, and then nothing. It just like cuts all the sound and audio. It's so grim, and then they're like beep, and you're back again after a couple of seconds. So you have a certain amount of health, and then there's like 3 rounds basically you have to win of the health. Whoever goes down to the bottom, and then you go to the next round. And then if you do 3, you win. I'm not sure if it's easier first time through, but I beat the game first time through, and then it unlocks different stuff for later playthroughs as well. And also I think also maybe in a similar way to Inscription, the ending of the game doesn't actually mean the ending of the game, and I'm unlocking more stuff and it's doing more meta stuff. I'm not quite sure.
Are you sure it's not just you're like really good at Russian roulette? You're just very talented.
I just got that dog in me. I'm just like I've got a bit of Russian. I'm like Frank, I guess. Maybe Frank's really good at Russian roulette.
There they just call it roulette, by the way.
That's a good point. Yeah. The other thing that's worth mentioning is that there are modifiers. There are tools, I guess, objects that you get, which can be used during your playtime. So there is a cigarette pack. If you smoke a cigarette, you get 1 more health back. There is a I guess it's like a penknife, but you basically use it to cut off, to like saw off shotgun the front of it, and then it does 2 damage when it hurts the other person. And then the shotgun grows its shotgun back after you do that. There is a magnifying glass you can use that basically will tell you what the next round is in the chamber. There is a beer can which allows you to eject the next round, which can be helpful as well with the probability stuff. And then there's also a pair of handcuffs that you can put on the other person, and basically makes it so that they have to skip their round if you have a go. The other person, the antagonist, the CPU in the game, also has those objects. So sometimes you'll like hit them a bunch of times, they'll smoke some cigarettes, their health will go back up, they'll eject some shots, they'll hit you, blah, 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 blah. So you need to be kind of aware of what they have as well and what you have. And then, yeah, that's kind of how it works. It's just a probability game. The graphics have that like good dithered PS2, PS1 kind of feel to them.
Yeah.
It's very dark and irreverent in the way that Inscription is, in the way that it's smart and funny and dark in the way that what was the flipping eggs, the Arctic eggs? It's kind of where you're just like it's snappy. It like all the stuff. It's very Inscription-y because it's all first person, but it's a lot of like the camera moves and tells you, oh, this is how much health you have, and then use the sawn off shotgun. Quick animation to saw off the shotgun. We're back again. It's very like poppy like that, in and out, like Inscription.
Do you start every round with all of the same items, or is there any randomization in the start context?
You start. When you sit down, you have none. And then a box opens and you take out, I think it's 2.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Maybe some rounds you get more. Maybe some rounds you get 4 of them. But you're pretty... There's only 8 slots for you to put the items. And I often found myself with like 6 or 7 of them full. And being like, oh, I need to like use up some of this stuff. Because if I don't, I won't get the other ones. And they feel somewhat random too.
That's cool. I find games like this very inspiring, where they're it's such a constrained idea. And I think that like, I don't know. As someone who dabbles in making games, there's a temptation to be inspired by the types of games that you make that were made by 150 people with a $50 million budget. You're like, well, okay, we'll make an open world and then we'll make a combat. And it's like, I don't know. It's cool to see games like this that are just sitting at a table with a shotgun, passing it back and forth. And I think a lot of the leverage in terms of the experience is done by atmosphere and by aesthetic and just kind of the feeling of oppressive dread of this weird. The antagonist in this kind of looks like he's like a white circular face with incredibly jagged teeth and just black pits for eyes.
Yes, it's very and the mask looks Yeah, that's good actually. Yeah, Evil Shy Guy or something. It's very yeah, it's got that like Choo Choo Charles kind of vibe.
Yes,
to it.
yeah, it does
It's
kinda look
Choo
like
Choo
that.
Charles before he was a train.
Yeah. There is a it oddly enough, I'm not sure if there is any crossover with Strange Scaffold actually, because I'm just looking at the Steam page. Yeah, there is actually a bundle you can get with El Paso Elsewhere. So
okay.
I don't know. Maybe there's some shared history there between the developer Mike Klubnika, I believe is the name. This game is $3. I cannot recommend it highly enough. It's very good. I've really enjoyed playing it. I've gone back and played it a bunch of times. Came out April 4th this year. It's got 25,000 reviews on Steam and sitting in overwhelmingly positive.
Wow.
It's hard to not like a game that's $3. You know, it is a short loop. That's fair. But I think, in a way, I'm like, one of the reasons I like this game is that it found its fun. Like, it is very good at what it is. And I could have seen a developer be like, oh, I need to like stretch this thing out into like a 15-hour game. But I think the purity of the game, it's like, reminds me of like Worms or Rocket League or something where it's like, no, just like playing that one round over is actually good. Like, and sure, there's some like meta progression stuff. It seems like, I think maybe there is, but it's not like full Balatro, right? Where it's like, oh, we're going to create all of these big incentives to keep you doing it. And that's fine too. But this game, I like that it's just like the game in and of its own is so fun that I've just been enjoying going back for the fun of it. I do suspect there is something else going on in this game that I haven't unlocked as well. It has that, like, it's similar to Inscription. It has that thing of like, there's 90% of me is going back and playing this because I find it just to be very fun and tense and atmospheric and super satisfying when you win. It's like, because you're pointing a gun at that motherfucker, going like, I better kill you, because if I don't, then I'm screwed. Like, there's one blank left in this chamber in 2 rounds. So if this thing doesn't go bang, I'm in trouble. But also there's like 10% of me that's like, yeah, but what if there's something else going on here? So I think, you know, even if there isn't, I'm really enjoying it. $3. How can you, you know?
I increasingly am loving short games that are like $3-5. It's the best. It's so nice being able to just have a self-contained experience in an evening. Just like fire something up after work that I can play the entire thing of. Yeah,
it's very satisfying. It feels, I don't know what it is. I've always heard this as a byproduct of getting older and having more things in your life and more things less time to play. I play games a lot, so I don't know if that's true, but I'm with you. There's something about like, it's like watching a good movie. It's like being like, great, I enjoyed the totality of that experience. I'm really, happy I enjoyed it, and I'm happy to walk away from it now. Buckshot Roulette, available on Steam for $3, folks. 3 goddamn Earth dollars. Go check out Buckshot
American
Roulette
Earth dollars, to be clear.
American Earth
to be clear.
dollars, Euro dollars, eddies. Is that what they call them in Cyberpunk?
Yeah,
I believe?
yeah.
Eddies, the Euro dollars.
Hey, choom. I need my eddies.
Nice work. Nice use of choom. Speaking of chooms, I'm just going to throw this one out there. Has anyone played Chained Together?
Yes.
No,
I
I'm
love
aware of
that
it,
game.
though, but-
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
is it actually good?
Here's the thing. Let me have my 2 minutes on Chained Together. Now that you brought it up, I thought I'd never have a chance to talk about this.
I've not
game.
played it. I've not played it. I desperately want to have played it. It looks insane. It looks like a nightmare I might have had.
This is,
You know what I mean?
oh yes, 1,000%. Oh god, you keep climbing and you never make it to the top of whatever. Like, the dream is just you're constantly falling, even though you keep feeling like you're climbing. Like Sisyphus trying to get out of hell, but there's no boulder. It's just himself. Chained
And
Together.
you're changed to 3 of your friends.
Exact 3 other Sisyphuses who don't have the wherewithal to not be doing this. Chained Together is the kind of game. What is it like? It's like Only Up, or like a 3D version
Yes.
of Getting Over It with Bennett Foddy, but not as trying to say something. There's some narration, but there's no like
There's no
heady.
subtext to
Yeah,
Chained
exactly.
Together.
That's the word I was looking for. Thank you. There's nothing going on. You're in hell trying to escape. That's what it is. It's just the multiplayer version of those kinds of games where you're chained together, and it's like you're just pissed off at your friends for being idiots. It's like doing those egg races when you were a kid or an adult, and you're strapped to your friend and they've got the egg or whatever. You got to pass it back and forth.
Or the three-legged race.
Or the three-legged race.
Yeah.
That's another one too.
Yeah.
Where you're like, come on, like, how are you not moving at the same pace as me? We obviously move your right leg forward. Have you never walked before? It's one of those kind of games where you're just so mad at your friends, but it's also hilarious. It is probably the most I have laughed at a video game with my friends in a long time. Now, of course, all multiplayer games they're fun for free. Hanging out with your friends is always a blast. But here, I don't know if it's the design. I don't know if it's like the contraptions that you're falling off of, because it does have that sort of asset mashup kind of feel as something like Bennett Foddy or something like Only Up, where you're jumping on bathtubs or jumping on cranes randomly. Like, eventually the game stops looking like hell and it starts looking like different things, I guess because they probably ran out of assets to use. But it's so comedic and it's so frustrating.
I think for folks who haven't seen videos of this thing, it's basically like Takeshi's Castle, but you're chained to 3 other people.
Yeah.
So like you have to jump, you have to like complete like, there's like laser beams, or there's like a thing you have to hang on, or you have to jump over all of these things very fast before a boulder hits you. But then fucking Daryl just can't seem to like get his shit together and jump fast enough, and is dragging the rest of the team. And what happens if they get killed? If they get killed, do you all also fall off the edge of something, or do they die and then there's fewer
So
of
there's
you,
no
or...
death. There's no like health bar or anything. It's purely
It really is hell.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like hell. You can't escape. There is no second hell you go to.
So if they fall, do they just drag you down as well?
Yeah,
or?
so this is the part of the mechanic that it makes it frustrating, and why it's not like Overcooked level. Weirdly, Overcooked makes me more mad at my friends than Chained Together does. But yeah, so when you're chained together in the game, there's different difficulty modes also. You don't have to play all chained together. You can like be chained in a line,
right?
Like you're on a chain gang.
The game. Oh, wait. So there's different types of being chained. So one of them is like you're in a box.
Yeah, one of them is like everyone's chained completely together in a circle, and the other one is like you're in a line chained together, which is much easier.
God.
Wait, I have a question. If you're chained in a line, and say you have 3 people that are on the board, and 4th person falls off, is there like a pull up your friend mechanic if the majority of the weight is on the do 2 of you have to go over to drag the rest down or something if there's 4?
Weirdly,
or is it
no.
all physics?
So it's a lot of physics. I've been playing this with 2 of my buddies, so I don't know what the 4-player experience is like. But the 3-player experience has basically been, because it's kind of janky. I think it's just using like default UE4, UE5, like climbing on thing animations.
It looks like it, and I like that.
Yeah, that's definitely part of the appeal of this
If it
game.
was too high fidelity, it would not be as fun. It's fun that it's silly and janky and clearly very cheap. If it was like over the top, I'd feel like I was just not having a good time, because like I want to see the nice things. But yes, so when you're playing with 3 people, from my experience, it might be the same with 4. If 2 of them are hanging off the edge, you don't like completely lose, but you start getting yanked, and the physics are very slippery. Everything's very slippery. There's a lot of like tight jumps where you'll be jumping onto like a platform that's barely wide enough for you to be standing on, and if you miss that jump and you go to climb back up, you can actually, because of the way the physics work, I don't really understand. Your friends will start to slide off. So there was a moment with my buddies and I where we were jumping on this very thin platform, and I'm standing there and they're both hanging off the sides, and I'm trying to yank the one up and the other one's trying to climb up, and then I fall off, and then like he's up and he's trying to pull me up, and then eventually we all just fell, and you're just careening to your not death. You're careening to your continued permanent existence in hell. But you can kind of like save yourself, and it's weird.
I watched a video where people are jumping from rooftop to rooftop by hitting trampolines.
Yes.
And the absolute psychic nightmare of 3 of you hitting the trampoline and 1 not, and drag everyone bouncing and then getting dragged back down again. It's just, oh my God, this... I also just love that the game is called Chained Together.
Yep.
Like, it's just perfect. It's so stupid.
It's like if it was called Jumping with Friends or
as well.
something. Like it's just so blatant with its naming.
And just like Hell Level is such an asset store thing.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, it's so aggressively asset story.
I know I said there's no narration, and there really isn't. But there's the odd character who shows up in the middle of your climb.
Wait,
who,
really? There's like NPCs in this game?
Yeah, just one NPC. The voice lines will repeat, not every time you hit the point, but like within a timed period. And it's like this little devil that floats around you as you're making your way up. And he's just like, hey guys, what's going on? You suck. You couldn't climb up to the top. Bunch of idiots. Or like, hurry up. You're doing well. Or Satan, his voice will like come up over the thing and he'll talk. But the little devil guy.
Is his name Luke or something?
Oh, maybe. Because like Lucifer.
Maybe. I'm reading reviews here and some people are calling out Luke. Can I read out 2 reviews very quickly?
Please.
The game needs to show a replay after each failure so that we can see the final moments and identify who is to blame.
That's such an analytical way of like, we need to like litigate this.
It should lie to you too, though.
The other
it shouldn't
one
be
is
honest every time.
Yeah.
The other one is, don't be fooled by the cheap price of the game. The real price is the cost of friendships, family ties, and a girlfriend that gives you the silent treatment.
That's amazing.
Chained together.
Jesus.
Much like what was the Overcooked?
Overcooked, yeah.
I have a similar situation with my wife and Overcooked.
Do you still have the divorce papers sitting in the closet just for next time you boot it up? Yeah.
It used to be, what was a Football Manager was the game that was mentioned the most in divorce proceedings in the UK, and I'm sure Overcooked is giving it a run for its money.
As a child, for me, it was Kirby's Dream Course.
Nice.
My parents are both teachers, and my mom used to tutor in the summer, and she would be downstairs tutoring students, and me and my brother would have to stay upstairs and be quiet. And we played Kirby's Dream Course to pass the time on our Super Nintendo. And one day she heard us screaming at each other, and she came up, and I was brandishing a steak knife at my brother because Kirby's
God.
Dream Course is a game. I think from my memory,
There's no justifying this, Jeremy, in a way that makes it work.
He was beating the shit out of me, and I was
okay, maybe
get the fuck back. I'm the little brother, man. Listen,
so you got a knife?
I'm not coming. You got to be strapped up.
I'm strapped up on this shit, bro. When your brother steps up, you got to be ready.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, Kirby's Dream Course, another conflict game.
Yeah, stay away from it. Last week you guys were talking about Neo, The World Ends With You, and it looks like Jesse and Frank both played it. Frank, this is part of your sort of your master's degree in otaku, is that right?
Yeah, I'm playing every game that takes place in Tokyo, and last week I covered Akiba's trip that takes place in 2013 Akihabara. And I forget how this came on my radar. I think someone else had mentioned it to me, but Neo, The World Ends With You. Now, this is a sequel to the 2007 DS game. I never played it, but I heard it's like one of the best games of that console. You can still play it. They put it out on Switch, but the art style of World Ends With You grabbed me because it's like 3D. So this game came out in 2021, and I don't know anybody who played it. It seemed like it just got overshadowed by a million other games. But it's the same creative team. It's by, is it Tetsuya Nomura, the Kingdom Hearts weirdo?
No, you're right. That's right. Kingdom Hearts weirdo.
The guy who makes all the gonzo crap of like the late Final Fantasy games. But yeah, I wanted to play this game because it takes place in Shibuya. But even part of this like recent trek is I'm looking for things that give me that Jet Set Radio feel. Yeah. Again, Bomb Rush Cyberpunk hits it, and this game has that. Like the aesthetic, the fashion, the style, the levels. It's like, it's amazing. The story itself, like Kingdom Hearts, is complete nonsense. It's you and your gang of friends are like hit by a bus walking
all of you
down the Shibuya.
No, just the one.
Oh, you see your friend. Oh. Yeah, one friend dies. And so you get cast into the Reaper's game, and
the 4 of you are chained together.
It's so you have a week to solve the ghost world of Shibuya. The story crap is nonsense, but it's presented like a manga where it's like there's a little bit of cutscenes, but it's a lot of just like dialogue and word bubbles, so you can mash X through it. But the combat itself is amazing. It's like an action RPG. But all of the fighting takes place in the streets of Shibuya. So it straight up has the Shibuya crossing. You can go to Tower Records. You can buy CDs at Tower Records.
Awesome.
And so the level layout is exactly like Shibuya. It's hyper stylized. So they do have like weird cartoon proportions like Kingdom Hearts, giant shoes and things like that. But the game is also presented in like a fisheye lens.
The cameras,
it's, like, warped
it's so
and distorted
disorienting.
There's no reason. No reason for it. Yeah, it's bizarre. It's so, but you have this. It's almost like you're playing Skate. Like you have this bizarre fisheye lens, But it's so cool, and like when you go into battles, it's like whoa, yo. It's so like
it sounds like a game that came out in. Well, I guess it did. The original came out in what?
2007, right?
2007.
Okay,
but
yeah.
the game feels like it takes place in 2005. There's like fake like new metal playing, like Breaking Benjamin. Like there's a band that sounds like Japanese Red Hot Chili Peppers. Like Tetsuro Nomura, his whole aesthetic is like a 45-year-old guy who thinks. Like, what do 15-year-olds think is cool?
Is there any Mad Capsule Market songs in there?
Oh man,
Or those guys?
I don't know.
Sorry, I broke your flow.
No, it's good. It's good. No, but like the music's great. There is some actual like Shibuya K like J-pop stuff in it. It's just everything I love. Like I want to just like drink it all down. It's great. And like it's it's easy to play. The combat is ridiculous. You collect clothes and pins like pins you would put on. Yeah. And every pin you wear is a different spell, and you level up your pins. Yes. And so you can like level up to like 300 different spells. So you equip a pin, you level up 3 times. It's like basically materia in Final Fantasy. You max it out, and then you put on the new pin. And so you're constantly
to be clear, though, the
like
300 spells are not 300 individual different spells. Like 40 of them are sword with fire, sword with ice, sword with more sword.
It's very like even Kingdom Hearts, like you mash the button and you're flying up in the air and whacking them as if you were fighting with your keyblade. But like it's easy to play. You're constantly leveling up. It's just it's so much like goofy style. I really like it. And again, no one played this. I don't know why, or it got overshadowed. I don't know. But I really like it. But Jesse, how much did you play of this? Or how much of this compared to Kingdom Hearts? I don't know. But what
dude, you're definitely way farther in this than I am, because I'm forcing myself to read the story and try to understand what's going on. Yeah. And trust me, you probably know as much as I do. It's one of those games. It's one of those Tetsuya Nomura nonsense games. You're right. With like, what are you fighting? A wildebeest with like big a weird sigil arm, and he grabs you, and that's the boss fight for the area. Or like you go to 104 or 104 Tower or whatever it's called, and like all the places have their silly little names, and all the character designs are like everyone has 900 belt buckles all over their outfit. It's one of those games. And you're right, the gameplay is very straightforward. It's super button mashy. There's like only every 3 buttons that you can hit in combat. It's like square triangle L2, square triangle L1, and that's sort of how you build your build. I think the combat is just so not worth doing. Like you have to, but it's just so boring because you're just like square, L2. It's funny because I played more of the Switch version of the original and the DS. I never finished it. But the gameplay on the DS version and on the DS version specifically is like 2 screens of combat. So you've got the one character on the one screen and you're like drawing attacks on the screen. And then the other one is like you hit buttons with the regular, gameplay buttons. On the Switch version, they had to transfer 2 screens onto one screen and also emulate the cursor stuff. So like you use the gyroscope from the Switch Joy-Cons to draw shapes on the screen to do the attacks. I don't know what they were thinking with that one.
Is there a Switch version of the original game?
Yes, yeah.
The DS game. And then there's also, you can play Neo. Because I didn't realize forever, because The World Ends With You was a big game when it came out, the DS one. Like it reviewed really well and people loved it. And then for whatever reason, the sequel never came out. But I always thought, for some reason, I thought Neo: The World Ends With You was like a
that's
a
what I thought.
Remake of it, not a. Yeah.
I think that's the confusion that happened with the marketing, is because the remake of the original came out not too far away from this Neo game. Because I hear Neo, I think, oh, that's like some funny Square Enix branding for a remake or something. But it's not. It's a totally new game. Yeah.
Yeah.
Stick 2 on the end of it.
The
world ends with 2.
I was just skimming the Wikipedia, and it says that Nomura had like belabored or like labored over the title a lot, I guess, and after much thinking, he decided to go with this nostalgic Shin, and it shows the kanji character for Shin, literally new. Note: Japanese series tend to use Shin/new in their titles, especially sequels. So I feel like it may be a lost in translation thing,
right?
Okay.
Where it's like they kind of did call it Twewy too.
Yeah, but over here it sounds like, wait, the guy from The Matrix is in this game?
Dude, the game would be 1,000 times better if he was. It's good though. I like it. It's the one thing I wanted to mention about the original Tui that I think is really cool. That I don't think any other game has really done.
Tui.
Hawk Tui. Don't bring that up in here. We've been free of the Hawk Tui memes in this podcast. I'd like to continue.
I still don't know what the meme is. And
don't worry
I
about
don't
it. You don't need to.
It's about the world ends with you.
That's right.
That's what I
the world does end because of that meme. That's for sure. That's why Joe Biden left, because of that. It just was too much for him. He was like, I can't be president anymore. Now we're getting topical. Sorry. So yeah, the thing I like about Tui is the fashion in the first game. I know that it kind of carries over into this one. Frank, you're a little further, so you may be able to speak to this being in Neo Tui. But the original Tui had this like fashion aspect to it where every region of the game had different benefits for the outfits you were wearing. And it really played into I know at the time when it came out, there was a lot of feels like the wrong word, but I'm going to use it for Japanese street culture, their clothing, Harajuku styles.
Harajuku girls
yep.
in Gwen Stefani
all that
songs
kind
and
of stuff.
Yeah.
So that was really popping off. So it was cool to see a game at that time that was using that as a part of the world. Like, obviously, it's a Japanese game developed by Japanese people. They know what's going on with the culture, and they can imbue the game with that. So that was cool to see more of that, because a lot of, like, I don't know, in 2007, I felt like being an outsider from the industry completely. I was, 10, 11 or something like that? No, I would have been 13. Japanese video games for me were like Nintendo. That's it. Maybe Square Enix. So Japanese culture in video games wasn't something I really saw a lot of. And Tui was like the one that really seemed to speak to a lot of those elements.
Watershed for you.
Yes, exactly. It was my touchstone for that sort of stuff. Is that in Neo Tui, Frank? Is there like the fashion district stuff?
Yeah, you have, so it's like there's social links in the game, and it's like the skill tree, and it's through different social links. You level up social links by like ordering 3 cheeseburgers at this store or buying all the clothes from this store.
All the clothes.
In a different,
Jesus.
Yeah. But so all the different threads you wear have different like bonus, like HP up, attack up. But in order to like get the bonus, you need to have enough style, and you level up your style by eating at different restaurants. But it's kind of like how you level up in like the old Yakuza games. Like, it's so wacky. But yeah, you'll go into a store and it's very like, they have like the Lolita fashion. They have like the punk rock goth stuff. It's like, and the shopkeepers match the style. So it's like there's different stores. And again, a lot of the times they use off-brand. There's only 2 real. There's Tower Records, and then there's another store like called Polka or whatever. But they have off names. Like there's even like, instead of Family Mart, it's like Family Store, but it has the same color branding and stuff. So yeah, you're encouraged to go to different stores, and then like side stories or sub stories, some people will be infected with the noise, and you have to go inside and defeat the negative emotions, and then you unlock more clothes to buy. So it's about collecting pins, collecting clothes, typical teenage things on a Saturday in Shibuya.
That's how you become stylish. Is you just become the best agent of capitalism you can be. It's just eat at all the stores and buy all the things. There you go. Neo, the world ends with you. Where are you playing it? Because it's on Steam, but it's $60.
Yeah, it's Steam's Switch and PlayStation. I got it on PlayStation for $22. It was like heavily discounted, so that's why I was like, "What?" I was just browsing the PlayStation store, and it was $22. And I was like, "Sure," and I was very surprised how much I like it. So yeah, the world ends with you. It's great, and again, I always use the term like it feels like a Dreamcast game, where it's just that hyper Y2K Japanese aesthetic.
I agree that it feels like a Dreamcast game.
Yeah.
I would go one step further and say one step next to Dreamcast. I would say this game is like if someone opened Unity and poured the entirety of a Hot Topic or a Spencer's Gifts into the engine. That's what you would get, is Neo, the world ends with you.
It does also have it was in the summer sales for $24 as well on Steam. It seems like it does drop down to about $24, so FYI.
While we're talking about Nomura, there's a game that I have intentionally not looked up anything about, even though I've heard about it a million times. Has anyone here played The Bouncer?
Oh yeah,
oh my
for
God.
sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. I was thinking,
I
I was trying to think of games that might be fun to do, like a
Dreamcast. Was it a launch game on?
It was a
Dreamcast?
PS2 game.
It was a PS2 game.
Was it a PS2 launch game? It's a very strange game.
It looks
was
odd.
It's like Streets of Rage, but like 3D and heavy on the. I remember it had a lot of cutscenes.
Yeah,
Frank, I never played. I played like maybe 3 or 4 hours of it, I think.
Yeah, I played it. It came out like I think on my birthday or around it was like a March release. So I got it and I remember just being very disappointed. Like, I don't know. I guess the graphics at the time were good, but I feel like it was a game you beat once in like 7 hours and I did not want to play it again. But I think that would be only funnier with time, like 20 years later, just to see how everything holds up. Because I feel like it's something that's definitely aged better, and just as a weird relic of like early 2000s Japanese.
Yeah.
Super linear, which I think maybe outside of his regular stuff too. Like even the levels are very linear. You know, there's not much to do outside of just beating people up and going to the next level.
I was thinking about it because it's a very short and odd game that is a blind spot of mine that I wanted to explore someday. I thought it might be a good like video games
session.
book club kind of thing to do,
Right,
we all play the same. Because if we all play the same game for a video game book club, it'd have to be a short game, and I think this one is like 2 to 7 hours depending on how you play it.
That'd be fun.
I think it is, if I remember correctly, like it is sort of it's a bit of a punchline game. You know what I mean? When people mention the bouncer, it's not for loving reasons.
Yeah,
it's not that bad, but I think to Frank's point, I think it disappointed people. There was sort of certain amount of like it screenshotted really well, right? And then the game kind of wasn't.
It is that kind of game that a historical video essayist would be like, everyone knows Tetsuya Nomura's best games, like Kingdom Hearts and The World Ends With You, and everyone's favorite, The Bouncer.
And it does like a push in on the edit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I had no idea that was in his stable. Speaking of, I just need to ask very quickly, you're doing your Tokyo games, Frank. Ghostwire Tokyo, you've already played that, right?
Oh yeah, I loved it. That was before I visited.
Oh, yeah.
There is a DLC which I've never played, but now I'd be interested in seeing it. But I really liked Ghostwire. It was like, again, below my expectations. I thought it was gonna be way more horror. It's a very chill out. You're just talking to ghosts and collecting stuff.
Yeah.
But it was a good chill out quarantine game.
You're right.
But it wasn't survival.
I
horror.
thought it was going to be, yeah, exactly. Same. And they were like, oh, these are like quite, yeah, it's fine. The ghosts are helping you in a weird way.
It's very cute. Yeah.
And then, of course, the best game set in Tokyo ever made, Tokyo Jungle.
Oh, where you play as a Pomeranian or whatever, right?
Yeah,
among
I have
other
that on
things.
my PS3. Yeah. You also have to like mate with other animals, and then you play as the descendants. I think I remember trying to play it once, and I got lost in the tutorial.
It's
but
fucking hard, man. It's a hard ass game. My wife played a bunch of it. It's you got it because you start off as a little Pomeranian at the start, post-apocalyptic Tokyo, but you got to go. You basically have to like avoid predators and find other animals, and then like coax them like by using like different techniques to basically have babies and then level up or whatever. But you unlock other animals, so like you're constantly unlocking like dogs and like fucking cheetahs and lions. And then the most frustrating thing is it's only available on PlayStation 3, but the store is down, so you can't get any of the DLC characters, which are like elephants and giraffes and stuff, like really cool animals. So
wait, is the PS3 store down?
No, I mean the PS3 option to buy the DLC from the studio is down. Sorry, the DLC for that game is down. So you can't actually get it anymore, which is a pain in the ass.
I think a DLC for it even was you can buy a salary man and just play as a salary man.
See, that's the good stuff. Anyway, best of luck on your continued journey into Tokyo's past and future.
Where are you going next, Frank?
I gotta keep an eye out for it and maybe just eat it, the cost. But there's Tokyo Mirage Sessions FE, which is like blend between like Persona and Fire Emblem games. It's on Switch, or you can buy the Wii U version for like $20. But the Switch version's $60. I don't know if it ever goes on sale or if I'll just buy it at Book Off or just pay full price for it. But that's kind of the
an
next,
unwrapped copy of that. So when you get to it, let me know and I'll jump in with you. It's so weird. I own all these games that you're trying to do and I'm not even trying to. So let's do it. I'll go on the adventure with you.
Cataclismo, Buckshot Roulette, Dungeons of Hinterberg, Neo, The World Ends With You, and of course, Penguin Gohan. Were the games we talked about. We got some emails and Discord messages, seems like here, Frank.
Yeah, always. I appreciate everything coming in. If you want to write to us, we have our Patreon, Discord, a podcast chat channel, or you can email us podcast@noclip.video. Our first message comes from Reptilian in the Discord. Asks, they want to ask the pod if you guys have considered getting video game tattoos.
Well, Danny, you have one, right?
Signed, sealed, and delivered. Yeah, I have the hunter's mark here on the inside of my left arm.
Hell yeah.
I think I've told this story probably before, but it's where there was a 5 or 6 week period where my daughter, when she was very, very young, when she was like, first 3 months of life, I think it was when she was a month old, where she wouldn't sleep anywhere. but on my chest she would sleep through the night. So I basically decided, okay, what's the game series that I have not played yet that I'm now going to have to, because you can't fall asleep with a child on your chest. You need to be awake in case they, fall over or something, especially an infant. So I was on the night shifts, and I decided then to get into the to Soulsborne games, because I'd never had the sort of, patience maybe to sit through them. So yeah, she was on my chest when I completed Bloodborne, and she used to sort of fall to the side, to that side of my arm, and it was very much they say when you have a kid that like the mother bonds with the child in the womb, and by the time the child is born, then they're already bonded, but it takes fathers or the other partner longer to bond after the fact. And that was very much like us. I was like chatting to her, and she was like, at the times when in those games where I needed to fucking calm the hell down, she was like my zen, like just like keep your heart rate down, don't jump too much, don't make too much movement, I'm trying to keep the child asleep. So yeah, it was a in recognition of a really great game, and also like a personal sort of moment with that game.
I guess there is an anxiety with doing that, of like, killing a boss with your daughter on your chest, and you just want to stand up and be like, woo, and she fucking catapults off of you.
Exactly. Yeah. You're just like, it taught me how to be this, because otherwise I'd be getting frustrated and sitting up and doing all, and I just had to lie there. So it was just like, we're gonna be zen together. We're she's on my chest, so like our heartbeats are like synced up, right? We're just like, we're doing this. So yeah, that's why I got mine. What about you guys?
I wanted to. Oh, you don't have any
Jesse,
tattoos, Jeremy?
I don't have any tattoos, but I have an idea for one, but I probably will never get it. But you go first.
That's honestly, I'll say mine. Yeah, but I'm just kind of shocked. You seem like a cool tattoo. Like every day I'm thinking about Jeremy with his shirt off. That's not what I wanted to say. I'm just imagine that like at some point you're gonna rip it off and you're just gonna have like, you're just gonna be covered in these cool tattoos. Yeah, dude. Koi fish.
Yeah. Colin McGregor chest tattoo.
I've never really wanted to get a gamer tattoo for the same reason that I don't want to wear gamer merch, because it's just like, I don't want people to know I play video games.
Oh yeah.
But I like the idea of the hunter's mark, Danny, that you've got, like subtle video game symbols. One that I wanted to do was from Neon White. At the end, because that's like one of my favorite games of all time, and that's like the first interview I think I got to do with you guys, which is awesome. So like to commemorate that, I was like, I want to get the tattoo of the hand that shows up at the end of levels. There's like a little hand symbol that pops up.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is cool. What I should bring this into like a tattoo place and be like, can I get one? Because I don't have any either, and I thought that'd be a cool first one to get. And I was looking into it, and I'm like, oh, this is a thing called the Hamza. It's like it's not a religious thing, but it might be. But it's like I don't know. There's like cultural significance to it that I'm not in on, right? I'm not down with. Like, I'm not against it, but I don't know anything about it. So on the one hand, it would be like, people would be like, oh dude, this guy's cool, like down with like the vibe, man. Like he knows what's going on. I would be like, yeah, you guys play Neon White?
Because that's what people say about other people's tattoos.
Oh yeah, this guy's cool, man. They see the tribal tattoo that the white guy has, and they're like, oh yeah, this guy knows what's up. He's down with the culture. He loves it.
Yeah, I'm with Jesse. Gamer tattoo is it's hit or miss, because when the day comes when they round up all the gamers and put them in camps, I just don't want to be visually identifiable as one.
True.
I've thought about this. Actually ties to the Shikasatu Itoi thing. Earthbound is one of those games that I played very, very young and has meant a lot to me throughout the years. Because the risk is always like, when I was like 13, I was like, it'd be cool to get a Red Hot Chili Peppers tattoo. Thank fucking God I didn't do that, because that would. I mean, I'm not hating on Red Hot Chili Peppers, but like, I definitely don't want a big fucking Red Hot Chili Peppers asterisk on my shoulder.
For whatever reason, that stuff that's like a constant thing that like I've heard people say, and I think I remember at a certain time prescribing to that a little bit. But I don't know, something happened in my 20s where I was like, oh, I'm done living for the future or the past. Like I am living presently, and maybe it was when I got like my first scars or something, and I was like, oh yeah, I guess you just like carry shit with you forever, like psychologically or physically, and I was like, whatever,
I guess what I mean is that like there are things that mean enough to me to get a tattoo of, even if I don't connect with them later in life.
Yeah.
But I think it was overestimating the depth of significance of my relationship to the Red Hot Chili Peppers. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, the way I feel about Earthbound is, if I got an Earthbound, like if I got a little Mr. Saturn on my bicep or something, and it was like down here, and then in 20 years I don't care, like I don't play video games or something, I'm not going to be like, oh, I have to like hide that. But like, It's like embarrassing to think about when I was like, when you're 13 and you kind of like don't know I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, it's like my relationship to the Red Hot Chili Peppers was not like, oh man, they like changed my life. I just was 13 and didn't have enough life experience to have things that felt.
I think my fallback was always that, like, because I actually have far fewer tattoos than I thought I would. And a large part of that is just to do with the fact that, like, I'm not super satisfied with my body image in general. So, like, I always was like, oh, once I, like, get super fit, then I'll be able to get my sleeves done and do all that stuff. But in my head, I was always like, I don't really care because you can just get more tattoos. You just de-emphasize the ones you don't like. You know what I mean? Sure. Like if I get my little corn fucking tattoo done when I was a teenager, then I was like, oh, let's get small enough so that, like, when, you know, by the time I have an entire arm, you know, it won't be just like the one thing that I have or whatever, you know?
I guess because I only, like, I don't see myself as someone who would have more than 1 to 3 tattoos max.
Right.
I think those... Yeah. There is significance in the few you get. You know, if it's Red Hot Chili Peppers, Earthbound, and, you know, like the Magic the Gathering logo or something, you're kind of branded for life with those 3, you know?
Yeah, that's fair. Frank, what about you?
If you can't have tattoos if you go to a wrestling show in Japan, so now it's like a liability.
Or an onsen. Wait, or if you go to an onsen and take your shirt off.
You have to cover up tattoos in Japan.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Because they think you're Yakuza or something.
Yeah. You'd be outing yourself as a delinquent, which I am.
I don't want them to know.
Keep it under wraps.
No, I don't know. Like there's no single tattoo idea that sticks. I always wear a hat, so I feel like whatever's on my cap is like my current tattoo. So
a tattoo for your skull.
I thought that's where he was going.
Yeah,
I was like, oh man, you're gonna fit right in prison.
No, not
a stardom tattoo on your forehead.
No, that's basically what the hat is. It's like, it's basically. I could have a stardom hat and a stardom tattoo. I don't know. Or just get all the different Joshi promotions. You know, I could, maybe. We'll see where I'm at in 5 years. Honestly, if I can be a camera person ringside, that's the dream. But who knows?
Love it. What else we got? We got some more emails.
Yeah, we have Jonathan Ronadell wrote, "Hey, Noclip crew. In the past few years, I've been trying to get out of my comfort zone when it comes to game genres by setting myself a goal to finish a specific number of games in a year, and then making sure I play games from genres or franchises I've never explored before. This year, however, I'm trying to do the same with music. I set a New Year's resolution to listen to 1 album a week that someone has recommended to me. So, my 2 questions are, have you ever done any experiments like this to try to widen your genre comfort zone? And then, do you each have an album for me that you love to listen to front to back without skipping any of the songs?"
Yeah, like a million. I don't talk about music on this thing at all. I used to work in radio and I used to work in event management for local bands and stuff like that back at home. I listen to lots of different types of music all the time, but I don't like talking about it. I don't have I think it's because I don't have because I have the lexicon to critically talk about games. And I've put a lot of work into trying to understand how games are made so that I can critically talk about them. And I do not know how to play an instrument. I just like what I like and I don't like what I don't like. But yeah, I listen to loads of different types of music. My foundational stuff is like metal, dance music, classical stuff like that. I listen to a lot of choral music, beginning into jazz in the past few years. So like trying to, get out there and do weird stuff. Can I recommend a new band that I've been getting into recently? I'm not sure if I mentioned Bill Murray on this podcast before, but that's Bill Murray, Billumri, one word.
Oh.
It's from a guy who used to be in like one of those crabcore bands, and it was like the label under which he kind of did a lot of very different experimentation. So the back catalog, the discography is actually like quite large and intimidating and just surfs between the different genres constantly. Like some of the stuff from 4 or 5 years ago during COVID was really electronic. The stuff he's working on now is like a mixture of like heavy rock and country music. The album he just released a couple of weeks ago is called American Motorsports, and it's fucking brilliant. Go check out his YouTube channel as well. He does amazing music videos. He did one for a song. The song that got me on his radar was my buddy Dennis sent me. Dennis is great for recommending stuff for me. Noclip fans will know Dennis well, but he sent me a link to the video for a song called Better Hell, which is just him singing while doing the like grass in his backyard with a dog, and it's one of the most deranged music videos, cheapest, brilliant music videos, and the song fucking slaps. But each of the videos he did after that increased the level of grass cutting available to him. It became a trend, and it's so all of his music videos, the band's music videos, are great. And I was going to go see them in Sacramento in a couple of weeks' time, but unfortunately, it's right before we go to Korea, Frank. So it was like the day before I was going, or the day I was going, so I can't go now. But yeah, Bill Murray, all one word. Bill Murray, ridiculous name for a band.
Yeah, I saw you post that music video where he's mowing the lawn, and it was the first watch. I was kind of like, okay, this is interesting, and then I watched it 11 more times, and I was like, every time I liked it more. I have some recommendations. If you like ambient music, these are good recommendations. If you are not into ambient music, maybe this is your genre exploration for the day. William Basinski is a like avant-garde composer. Did a series of albums called the Disintegration Loops. Where he took these, I don't know how much of this is apocryphal or if this is literally true. This is my understanding of it, is that he got a collection of old tapes, like reel-to-reel tapes, and they were so old and had been poorly stored that they were kind of crumbling. Like reel-to-reel, physical media is not super durable, and so he took them and put them in like a room with very good ambiance and played them on the reel-to-reel machine and recorded like an hour or plus of each one as they disintegrated. And so at the start, these loops that are like 20 to 60 seconds is the full loop playing of this weird ambient, and then by the end of like 54 minutes, it goes from like a full loop of ambient to just like silence and little like weird little clicks and stuff, and you listen in real time for an hour as these tracks physically disintegrate.
Oh my God.
Right.
And it is unbelievably stirring, and one of the most interesting parts of it is that the story is, I believe this is the true story, this was released on September 11th, 2001.
Oh,
and,
brother.
Oh, you're kidding.
the story is that William Basinski went up to his roof to listen to like the final recording on the day it came out and watched in real time as 9/11 happened from his rooftop in New York. So there's like this crazy, like esoteric, like oppressive ambiance to it. And
you couldn't
the first
write
time I
that
heard this
story.
album,
like
what?
That's so that's so perfect. You couldn't write that.
It's insane. So this album, be careful where you listen to this album. The first time I heard Disintegration Loops, I was up in Oregon filming a documentary, and me and my documentary making partner at the time got stuck in a dust storm, and we had to pull over to the side of the road, and dust started filling the car, and we thought we were going to die because we were like suffocating. So we were listening to William Basinski's Disintegration Loops and like,
oh my
covering our
gosh.
mouths and just like, so yeah, be careful.
That was your 9/11.
That was my personal 9/11. Yeah, but they're very good. And the other ambient recommendation is Brian Eno's Thursday is one of my favorite tracks.
Do you want to stick in select ambient works there? Just
Yeah,
for
select
shits
ambient
and
works.
giggles?
2, especially if you're into ambient, is unbelievably good.
From Aphex Twin. Yeah.
I've been talking about Shibuya this week with World Ends With You. I will give you one of my favorite Shibuya K albums. There's a band called Capsule. 20 years ago, Yasutuka Nakata, one of the greatest like composers, J-pop stuff. He's done millions of bands, Kyari Pamu, Perfume, but his original band, Capsule, he has an album from 2003 called Cutie Cinema Replay. Listen to it. It's so good. It's so hyper crazy, cute, like jazzy, poppy. It's electronic. It's crazy, but Cutie Cinema Replay for Shibuya Key. I can give you any Capsule album. Honestly, go nuts. But that there's so much to dive into.
I'm adding that as well.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, Cutie Cinema Replay. It's beautiful. Like,
I will throw out one pop culture one just because I'll give you two. I'll give you my one honest one and then my one silly one. We'll go silly first. Tenacious D's original album, Tenacious D.
Oh yeah.
May they rest in peace. Jack Black, what a mistake. But also, that first album is goddamn hilarious. If you haven't listened to it's like a rock opera comedy album. It's so weird, but it's so much fun. I think that's what got me into musicals was Tenacious D, which is such a weird, and my teachers who got me into musicals. And then my actual album, which I think is really good. And it's from a pop artist, hip hop artist, but it's called Dawn FM. It's by The Weeknd. It's a really good album if you listen to it from start to finish because the songs do that sort of interlaced thing. I fell in love with that with the Beatles, Abbey Road's B-side. I still listen to that because it's just such a great 20 minutes of music. And I think Dawn FM is the same sort of thing. It's presented in this style where it's not like it's a new original thing for anyone to do, but it's like a radio show for the album. And the reason it stands out is because the host for the radio show, I shit you not, is Jim Carrey. The actual
nice.
Jim Carrey is
Canada's Jim
That's
Carrey.
right, sticking together with The Weeknd from Scarborough, I want to say. I'm not 100% sure, but another
nice.
Ontario boy. That
I
album's
do like
great.
the conceit of the radio. It's like what they did on Songs for the Deaf, Queens of the Stone Age. It was like a high desert radio station they were tuning in and out of, which has
That's
a nice
really
sort
cool.
of, nice vibe to it. Yeah, nice.
Did anyone do the genre
any other
experiments,
ones?
by the way? That was the other question. But the game
Oh,
genre
the genre
stuff?
Oh,
experiments?
with games specifically.
Yeah, that's fine.
The music question was the better question. That was the Any other ones to throw out? If you're into dance music, Rhythm and Stealth by Left Field. If you're into, I don't know, rock music, fucking any Deftones album, pick it up. If you're into rap, I don't know.
Illmatic?
I'm a West Coast 90s person, but also like Full Clip, the best of by Gangstar, I think is probably a good place to go if you want to go East Coast.
Good Kid, Mad City by Kendrick Lamar. Kendrick's
Classic.
best album.
Best album? Hold on. Are we about to get in a fight?
No,
Music's
It's
subjective,
good.
guys.
I know.
that's
start.
my best. Sorry.
That's fair.
Awesome.
Great Malenko by Insane Clown Posse.
Of course. How could we forget? Music is subjective. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2, great album.
It's true.
Yeah. And then one more email. Austin Salisbury says, "Hello, beautiful people. Now that Jeremy has broken their streak of never playing DLC, can you please play Echoes of the Eye, the Outer Wilds
it's
DLC?"
so good.
so good.
It's so good. Have you guys played it?
Yeah.
I
played
own it
for
and I have not played
the
it.
pod
I
that
haven't,
we
no.
did on it, man. It's so fucking good. Jeremy, it's so special.
we did, didn't we?
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
does. I didn't think you could do what Outer Wilds did in the base game again. Like I didn't think they could
Again?
find a
Yeah.
way to do to give you that feeling a second time in
Yeah.
the same world and context, and like they did it, and they do it multiple times in the DLC. It is really impressive, and I think there's enough of a time gap for you that you'll be able to appreciate it as well.
Yeah, just like Outer Wilds, I played Outer Wilds knowing literally zero about that game. Not like the main mechanics of that game. I did not know
Wow.
that that's what that game was about. I feel so fortunate. I don't know how I ended up playing it. Somebody recommended it to me or got a code. I don't know what the fuck happened, but I was like, this is insane. And then obviously everything that happens in that game. If you've never played Outer Wilds, for the love of God, go play that game right now before somebody tells you about it. Do not look up anything about it. Watch our documentary later. But similarly with the DLC, you just can't talk about it. You just have to go play it. And yeah, it's a good, Jeremy, you'll have so much fun. It's a great DLC.
Maybe I'll play that this weekend. Is it okay? This is I will definitely play it regardless of the answer to this question. Is it a game that I could play and then talk about it on the podcast without spoiling stuff, or is it a game that I should just play and not think about the podcast at all? Because
No,
it's
I
impossible
think
to talk about.
I think if I would have no problem talking about it next week, but what I would do is we should just tell people to tune out for 15 minutes
cool.
if they're going to do it. Give them the choice.
That makes sense.
Because you can't. It's the problem with the main game is, but you can't. It's either talking about it or not talking about it. There's no fucking gray area really in that game of it. Yeah, God, I might replay it this weekend as well.
All right, I'll fire it up. I own it. I just haven't played it yet.
so
I had
good.
to break my DLC seal with Elden Ring. So
Danny's trying so hard to
and now
not say the cool thing that happens.
Well, what's happening, Jesse? You could probably appreciate this as well. Is Frank? Have you played it?
No, I haven't. Not the DLC.
Is I've just been remembering, like you said, all of the things, because there's like stuff that happens, and then there's like it's so brilliant. Like
so hard
I
to not
can't talk
overhype
about
it. It's
at
so
all.
hard because it's like
I know.
we're
And
we're
I
trying to
also
talk
don't
about it without
you're
talking
right.
about it, and we're like, oh man, remember that?
Yeah.
Oh, never mind. Oh, but
I think similar to the main game is so good because it is not just like mechanically really interesting and world buildingly really interesting, but that game has so much heart, and the DLC does too.
Yep.
Like it has so much, like it's so emotionally affecting.
I would say
which-
it literally gives the first game or the original game, the base game, more heart. Like
Yeah. Oh, you're right
Yeah.
as well. It's 100%. Yeah. Because you can play it, because of the nature of the base game. You know, again, not talking about it. The DLC is kind of like plugged in a way, but you don't have to worry about replaying main game shit to play the DLC, you can just ignore it if you want. You know what I mean? Because of the way it works. The way they figure that problem out as well is also genius. But anyway, I don't want to talk about it anymore. Go play Echoes of what is it? Echoes of the
Eye.
Eye. Yeah. Fuck. I might play that again this weekend.
So good.
So good.
All right.
That's it. That's all the questions, all the emails. Thanks for sending them in, folks. Really appreciate it. What's going on? A lot of editing is going on at the moment. If you want to know where we're editing, go check out this week's Patreon show over at patreon.com/noclip. I got to catch up on some Dear Dwyer stuff as well. I know you're waiting for some VO stuff. Jesse, I'll get that to you in the next day or two. Frank's incredible video again. If I didn't say it already, Frank, via Discord, awesome work. That was super cool to watch your watch.
Oh, that reminds me. Sorry,
madness.
Frank. How was? Did you go to the Akiba Maid Wars thing?
I did, yeah.
Was it good?
Yeah, it was. I'd never been to a maid cafe, and it felt like being at like Disneyland or like Universal Horror Nights, where it's like everyone's in character.
Right.
So like at first, like, is this gonna be cheesy? But it's like, no, everyone's having fun. So it was cute. They did like, dances and stuff, and there was a fake gunfight, and it was like, all right, it was basically what I expected. And then I got merchandise, which is very cool. So yeah, but now I got to go to a real maid cafe in Akihabara and compare.
Perfect.
Yeah,
So
I've seen the my showing my daughter the different ones, like the owl one. It looked like a good cafe. There's one where it's just otters, man.
Oh, yeah.
It's just fucking otters.
That's so cool.
You can just which is something else. I also found a place like I think it's a private residence in Santa Rosa that also lets you like swim with otters, which seems very
That sounds
weird.
illegal.
Yes.
Is that legal?
It does feel a little illegal, isn't it? There's also one down near San Diego, Frank, which I found before.
Yeah.
For reasons that my wife really likes otters. I'm not gonna put myself under the gun for this one. I was looking for otter related gifts, and that's what I found. So there you go. It's illegal to have weasel. Is it weasels? What do you call them here?
Ferrets?
Yeah, it's illegal to have ferrets in California.
Oh, are weasels and ferrets the same thing? Holy shit!
I don't think they are.
Okay.
I think Frank just sort of intuitively understood what I was trying to say. I think they are different. They are different.
Oh, okay.
Polecats, stoats, and ferrets and weasels are all part of the same family.
In Yokohama, I was walking down the street, and there was a 3-story store called Ferret World, and there was just ferrets in the windows. So Ferret World
Oh my God.
exists in Yokohama.
That you could not have that in California.
Don't ferrets I maybe misunderstand. I've never owned a ferret. Don't ferrets like smell incredibly
Brother,
foul?
if you had a room full of
Yeah.
ferrets, it would just stink like terribly.
That's why it's funny to me that like because a lot of these places are like it's the owl cafe or the cat cafe. You're like, oh, I'll get a little espresso and I'll pet the owl. And this one's
Or I'll
just
get a
it
little
just like
espresso and it'll
smells
smell like cat
piss
piss.
in there.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I looked up if there was ferrets in Tokyo Jungle, and unfortunately there is not.
Damn.
There is a dairy cow, though, a mammoth, and a fat cat,
Perfect.
which is a cat that is fatter than the regular base cat. So
Oh, it's not
Oh,
a
that's
rich
around
guy from the 1940s.
it's not a.
No.
I had to click on the picture to see if it was a rich guy.
CEO.
Homo erectus, an office worker, came bundled with Eric X, which is a robot dog, and a saber-tooth tiger in Character Bundle 3, but you cannot get access to that anymore.
Damn.
Because life is not fair. That's a podcast, folks. Thanks for tuning in. That was episode 186.
You were gone for a while.
Crewcast. We'll be back next week. Yeah. I'm around now for the next couple of weeks. Unfortunately for you listeners, I'm back for the next 4 or 5 weeks at least. So yes, we'll be entering into the wonderful world of August next episode. Ridiculous how fast this year is going. Keep those emails coming in. Keep those comments on the videos, and we'll see you next time on the Crewcast. Bye.